Everybody get up, come on and dance now. That's right. I mean, Space Jam.
Okay.
From the original.
Yeah.
Just taking it back a little bit.
All right.
For our guest, the one and only Melissa Bruning, coming on the show to talk about her process designing the Toon Squad's freaking uniform.
Yes.
So excited.
Yeah, that was nice retro.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, you're throwing it back. I like that. Yeah, guys and gals, this process, man, it's an interesting one. You don't just run to the store and buy some clothes.
You really don't.
And she's going to tell you a whole lot more that goes into this actual design, who she works with on the set, doing it, when she gets involved. I mean, it's a really interesting, and she passes on the one shared piece of advice that every single one of our guests does. What is it? You got to listen to the interview.
Exactly. And she's dressed freaking so many notable names like The Rock, Reese Witherspoon, Val Kilmer. The list goes on and on. LeBron James, obviously. So who is her favorite? Who is her favorite person just to work with back and forth? Well, you'll find out in this interview.
Yes.
And that's later on the show. But now, let's get a little crazy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Holy moly, we're on episode 172 this week. Feeling good about life, man.
Yes, 172. What?
Right?
I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, it's like already like our 29th episode of season 4. I can't even believe that.
I know.
Like, it's just insane how quick they're going by.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Before you know it, Crazy Ant Media is going to be like the next NPR. We're going to have a whole bunch of different shit going on that you can listen to on the daily basis. Of course, you guys know we're shooting for it. We're shooting for it all. Shooting for the top.
It's true.
But you guys know your host with the most, myself, JLo Fantastic, and the one and only Mouth.
What's up?
Guys, there's a lot of stuff going down in Hollywood this week. We're going back and talking about Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit with Disney, as always. I mean, of course, you guys know this is going to be in our industry news for probably, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks.
At least.
At least.
I mean, and it's always something interesting. Wait until you hear what it is this time.
Yeah, exactly. And then you guys know we're talking about the streaming wars. Everybody's putting new content out there. People are being cast to freaking some amazing projects, and we have the latest details for you that aren't being kept under those wraps.
And there's a Netflix fan favorite that's going to have a lot of you all very, very happy. What is it? You gotta wait.
You gotta wait. Oh, man. But before we get this thing started, be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear.
Yes.
New merch out right now. Still designing some other things, so stay tuned as always. And we just ended our sale. It was a phenomenal week. And, I mean, if you guys didn't know about the sale, you should be following us on ITCAFpodcast on Twitter and Instagram, and Crazy Ant Media on Twitter and Instagram. This is why you should be following us, because you need to know about the latest promotions going down here at Crazy Ant Media.
20% off. Y'all missed 20% off if y'all didn't catch it.
Man,
that's significant. That's a big chunk of money saved right there.
Exactly, man.
I'm just saying.
Let's get into this thing.
Wait, you know what though? Ooh. Before we get started, I just want to say this because it's mind-boggling to me that it's even so. Do you know that it's a year already? We're gonna pay some tribute to the king himself, Chadwick Boseman. A year ago today, he passed. Can you even believe that?
No, I remember it was a show day. And we just had finished the show. It had probably been like an hour. Still, we were editing together some stuff, and then I just knocked on your door. Hey, this happened. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's just because he kept it secret. Remember the 4-year battle with cancer? Nobody knew except for a couple of really close people in his circle, and just a year ago today, man, and just the impact that he had on the industry and people. I mean, it's a legacy that just will continue forever, and just,
Agreed. I mean, he left his mark on this world. That's
he did.
For sure. And I mean, speaking that positivity and speaking that truth. So we appreciate him always for that. But let's jump into some Disney and with their relationship with the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that is basically Hollywood South now. Everything goes out of Atlanta if it's not going through Vancouver.
Yep.
The city of Atlanta and Atlanta's mayor Office of Film Entertainment have launched the Set South Production Assistant Training Program, a partnership with United Way Greater Atlanta and the Georgia Film Academy, the GFA, as some of you know it as. Disney, an inaugural lead supporter of the Set of the South PA program, the free full-time training program set to benefit undeserved Atlanta residents is currently accepting applications for its inaugural class, which will start on October 4th, so right around the corner.
Yeah.
Set South PA program connects unemployed and or underemployed Atlanteans to careers in the highly competitive film industry, which we know that pond is growing bigger and bigger every day.
Oh, yeah.
The first class will hold 15 students, and there are plans to expand and continue the program with two cohorts each year with up to 25 students each through 4 weeks of training. The Set South PA program, with curriculum and instruction from the Georgia Film Academy, will deliver an etiquette standard practices, mock set experiences, and more. Now, the program is tuition free for participants and requires no previous production experience. Upon completion, AMOFE and the GFA will support the students as they seek employment by providing alumni resources, mentorship, and job placement productions. Now, that receives permits of the City of Atlanta will encourage to hire Set South graduates on their productions. So basically, if you go through this program, it's a pretty good chance that you will be hired on a set in Atlanta.
This is fantastic news because we're always saying every week, right? Get on a set, get on a set, get on a set. It's the most invaluable thing, for experience to build with whatever you want to do in the industry, right? And so the idea that the city would partner with the Film Institute and with a conglomerate like Disney to give the opportunity for these people to learn and get on a set, even as a PA, because that's what this is, PA training, right? But I fucking love it.
I do too.
I love it, man. And if you can do that for underserved and underutilized members of the community who desperately want to be employed, but also dream of being in the film industry, this is a win-win for everybody.
Exactly. And I mean, like you said, we talk about all the time, just get on a set, and especially as a PA, because that's where you can learn so much shit from so many different people. So very supportive of this training program. So I think it's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, man. And I'm just telling, I bet these first 15 people all end up on a Disney project.
For sure.
They're all shooting there. Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of, let's just keep talking about the mouse because it's not all good, right?
Nope.
Okay, we have the latest news on the lawsuit between Disney and Scarlett Johansson, and this is a really strange development, but here we go. The judge, apparently, that's overseeing Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit against Walt Disney Company has offered to step down from the case. Why? Because apparently he formerly worked for the law firm that represented the Mouse House. That could be a conflict of interest. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Robert S. Draper's clerk issued a minute order earlier this week stating that Draper was a partner in O'Melveny Myers LLP until 2005 and that he still receives a monthly pension from the firm that amounts to more than $100,000 a year.
Damn.
Now, the minute order further states that the parties can waive Draper's self-disqualification by filing a joint agreement by September 10th. Basically saying if they're both okay with him and that he used to be an attorney for Disney, then they'll move forward and he'll still be the judge. But if they don't respond to that jointly by September 10th, then his intention to remove himself from the case will move forward and he'll be replaced by another judge. I think
it's very interesting.
I think he should recuse himself.
I agree.
I'm not saying this guy can't be fair or impartial, but it just seems to me like it shouldn't be, just get a different judge.
Exactly. I mean, we need a right mediator, and like with this guy working so close with Disney before, I don't think it's right.
No.
So, I mean, it's very interesting. Very interesting. And this next one I think is awesome because I wouldn't be surprised if more of the female-led Marvel squad came out in support of this.
Yep.
Elizabeth Olsen, everybody knows her as the Scarlet Witch,
yes,
has voiced her support for her fellow Avenger, ScarJo, amid her ongoing Black Widow lawsuit against Disney. In the recent interview, she said, quote, "I think she's so tough, and literally when I read that, I was like, Good for you, Scarlett. She added, when it comes to actors and their earnings, I mean, that's just all contracts. So it's either in the contract or it's not. So I'm glad to see this, and hopefully, like I said, more of the female crew come out, like Brie Larson, and just there's so many out right now. So I think this is very important.
I think so too, and I think this is a hint that maybe, I feel like Elizabeth Olsen probably got one of those restructured contracts because, she's showing up in Doctor Strange, right? And so we know there's a film thing there, and then also had WandaVision. So her contract had to be restructured for both, Disney Plus and theatrical. So I'm just wondering if, she seems to have pretty good insight. Like, if it's in the contract, right, it's in there, and if it's not, it's not. So, not all great news. We just talked about Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther himself, and as you guys know, they're currently shooting Black Panther 2 right now. Guess what? Somebody got hurt, and it was a name. It was a big one. Letitia Wright has been hospitalized with minor injuries after a stunt rig accident on the set of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. A spokesperson for Marvel said that she's currently receiving care in a local hospital and is expected to be released soon. The film shoot, now this is interesting though, the film shoot was actually happening overnight in Boston, but the film is shooting in Atlanta. So I'm guessing,
interesting.
Riri, I'm guessing they were like MIT. They're like legit on location for Riri and that storyline. So maybe she's recruiting her, and maybe they were at the campus. It's the only reason I could think that why they just wouldn't be shooting it in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, there's currently no impact to the movie's shooting schedule, so don't worry. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is still expected to hit theaters on July 8th of next year. So we wish her well. That's Suri, for any of you guys who don't know this. His little sister, and the one that's basically going to take over all the tech stuff now that Tony's gone. So good. I'm glad she's okay though.
Seriously. Okay. I mean, we talk about it all the time how sets cannot be a safe place sometimes. I mean, especially when you got a lot of action going on. So I'm glad she's okay.
Yeah.
Marvel Studios is searching for a Latino actor to lead the untitled Halloween special for Disney Plus. Though it is unconfirmed if the character will be based on Werewolf by Night, the casting search marks another effort in Marvel's expansion of representation. And I will say, we talk about it all the time, how Marvel is absolutely fucking amazing, but I'm always trying to one-up him when it comes to Marvel and Star Wars. So I think they got this shit from Star Wars, because Star Wars is steady putting out a holiday special.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't know where you were going there at first, but yeah, totally. Or James Gunn just influenced him, because remember James Gunn was going to do the Guardians of the Galaxy one that's supposed to be hitting also. One or the other influenced them to do a holiday special for Marvel, but I hope it is the Werewolf by Night storyline though, because that would be a really interesting one. There's a couple of, the current rendition of the character that's in Werewolf by Night was created by one of the Black Eyed Peas.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. So, it could be very interesting if they go that route. This one, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm happy about this one. As we guys told you before on previous shows, they're doing a prequel to The Lion King. It's going to be live action. And now, apparently, we found out that Aaron Pierre and Kelvin Harrison Jr. are set to voice Mufasa and Scar in the upcoming prequel. Yeah, you heard me right. Mufasa and Scar. Like, wait, what? Not Jeremy Irons and James Earl Jones? It's unclear what exactly the film will be about, but it's expected to focus on the early years of Mufasa, the regal father of Simba, and his menacing younger brother Scar. Now, Disney has yet to reveal any of the remaining cast members, though the Lion King prequel will likely be another star-studded affair like the live-action Favreau Lion King was.
I think it's kind of cool because I just looked up on our handy-dandy IMDb Pro app, which everybody should have. I think it's really cool that, both of these guys are relatively unknown. They've done stuff here or there, so they're getting a big opportunity. But this goes back to, and this is for everybody in the entertainment industry, quit beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
Not to say that, Lion King's always going to be huge, don't get me wrong. But we keep telling the same story with the same characters. Why, again, like you say all the time, why do we need to build universes now? It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sorry, but and nothing against these two actors, but
no.
James Earl Jones and even Jeremy Irons, very iconic voices.
Yeah.
And they pretty much sound exactly like they did back then now. So why would you... I get that it's a younger version of them, but they sound the fucking same. If James Earl Jones were right now on this show, at this moment, say, Luke, I am your father, it would sound exactly like it fucking sounded back then.
It would.
You don't need to cast a different voice actor, man, unless they just said no, which... I can't imagine they'd say no.
Right.
I'm just confused by this story.
Exactly, and it's very weird, too, because obviously if this were going to be them as Cubs, you would have cast children.
Children, right.
So, I mean, with these being two grown-ass men, it's obviously going to be them, like, teenage/adults. So, yeah, why the fuck wouldn't you try to get them back?
I mean, it's James Earl Jones.
Just saying.
Fuck.
Just saying.
Okay.
Iconic voice. Iconic voice.
Yeah.
ABC will ring in the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World with a television special hosted by Whoopi Goldberg herself. The most magical... The most magical story on Earth, 50 years of Walt Disney World, is a 2-hour program that will take viewers on a historical journey spanning half a century beyond and at the Florida Museum Park and Resort. The special will air Friday, October 1st on ABC. Christina Aguilera and the Little Mermaid star Halle Bailey. Holly Berry. Haley? Holly?
I think it's Holly Bailey.
Holly Bailey.
There you go.
Okay. Will perform in front of Cinderella Castle alongside with Orlando, not Bloom, orchestra at the Magical Park for the television celebration. Also set to join is Anthony Anderson, John Stamos, Melissa Joan Hart, and other celebrities. Kevin Feige, Pete Docter, James Cameron are among the creative scheduled to join the celebration. The event also touts appearances by a Disney executive, past and present, including Chapek, Iger, and Eisner. Very interesting.
I'm tuning in just for that because I want to see Michael Eisner and Bob Iger be like, "What the fuck, bro?
Yeah."
We built this shit. What the fuck are you? You trying to tear that shit down? To which Feige will be there too and say, "Yeah, bro, what the fuck?"
It's not going to be good.
I'm tuning in just for that because I want to see the tension there. Because I'm sorry.
There's
going to be tension.
It's going to be like Boys Club and then Chapek. Chapek's going to be all by himself. Like
Yes. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that totally. Eisner, Feige, and Iger all just hanging out, and Chapek's like, "Ooh, hey guys, hey."
Literally.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I'm actually giddy about it. I want to see it. I love this one. And everybody who follows me, everybody who knows me, I'm a huge Shark Tank fan. It's my guilty pleasure. I love the fucking show. I never miss it. It's just, I can't get enough of it, okay? I'm sorry. But they announced their guest sharks for the upcoming season, and it's a pretty good list. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited. Shark Tank will feature 4 new guest sharks when it comes back on the 13th season in October. And get this, guys, Kevin Hart is going to be a guest shark.
Nice.
I love that. Kevin Hart is going to be a guest star. You guys know he has Heartbeat Productions and Laugh Out Loud. And will swim in the tank for the first time, joined by Emma Grede, who's the CEO and co-founder of Khloe Kardashian's Good American, and Kim Kardashian's Skims. Peter Jones, an original dragon on the BBC's Dragon's Den, which is kind of a play on Shark Tank, he'll be there, and Nextdoor co-founder Nirav Tolia. So, all good choices, but I'm most excited about Kevin Hart because that dude is going to be an epic shark. I'm sorry, but he's going to be good. And I want to see him go toe-to-toe with Mr. Wonderful. You know that's going to be good.
It's going to be hilarious.
It's going to be hilarious.
Oh, man. Well, the cast of the original Wonder Years will guest star across ABC sitcoms on the night of the reboot's premiere, September 22nd.
That's cool.
First, Dan Laura, who played the patriarch Jack Arnold on the late 1980s, early 90s family sitcom, will appear on The Goldbergs, which airs at 8 p.m. on the Alphabet Network. And that will be followed by a premiere of the reboot at 8:30 p.m., which will include a nod to the iconic theme song originally covered by Joe Crocker. The Connors, which premieres at 9 p.m., will include Fred Savage, who played Kevin Arnold on the original show, and and serves as executive producer on the new one. And Home Economics, which closes Wednesday night sitcom block at 9:30 p.m., will feature Danica McKellar, formerly played Winnie Cooper. So it's
That's
very
awesome.
interesting.
Kevin and Winnie making an appearance, and Dad. That's kind of cool, though. I like that they're doing that to kind of boost the new reboot, right? So that's kind of cool to have the originals all over the place. Interesting. This is cool news because, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan. Logan Marshall Green from How It Ends is set as a new series regular and a key character in the upcoming second season of ABC's Big Sky. Opposite, of course, returning leads Kylie Bunbury, who I absolutely love. Please come on the show, Kylie. I really want to talk to you. And Catherine Winnick. Marshall Green will play the person from Jenny's past, Travis, an old friend of Jenny and her late husband, Cody, which, of course, you guys know in the shocker ending, Ryan Phillippe was killed off. Marshall Green is the second major cast addition for Season 2, joining previously announced new series regular Janina Gavankar, who we talked about on last week's show. So,
very freaking fun.
But that's not all the information about Big Sky. What else you got, Logan?
I know. We got John Carl Lynch will return for Season 2 of Big Sky. Despite his Season 1 character, Rick Lagrutsky, being killed off, ABC did not confirm he would be playing in the new season, but a recently shown teaser for the series featured narration by Lynch commenting on his brother. It was mentioned in Season 1 that Rick has a twin. So Season 2 premieres September 30th at 10 p.m.
So is the twin as shady as that motherfucker was? Because I'm just wondering. Or is he going to be like a nice guy?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm excited to find out. Hey, let's see. Do you want to be on TV? You have a chance. Apparently, you have a chance. Why? Because when The Conners returns to ABC with its fourth season premiere on September 22nd, the family sitcom will present another live episode. And this time, ABC's giving viewers a chance to win a virtual appearance as a member of the family in the premiere via a sweepstakes. As part of Season 4 premiere storyline, a Connor family member will call each sweepstakes winner for a live conversation discussing how they deal with some of the same life issues that the Connors experience on a daily basis. So that's interesting. They're going to talk some heavy social shit with some real people about how they deal with it in life. That's cool.
That is really cool, and especially with having it being live and like you get shown on national television, that's going to be very interesting to see how many people flub up. But
that delay button.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, when I gotta choose between my medicine and food, fuck. Yeah. I mean, shit. I mean, beep, beep. Yeah. I'm just guessing.
Exactly. Roseanne didn't die. Like, oh my, what if she like accidentally pops in somebody else's Zoom?
What if she wins the contest? I'm not on the show anymore, but that's how I deal with shit.
I'm pro Ambien. Like, oh my gosh. It'd be too much, man. It'd be absolutely too much. Well, anyway, pop star / YouTube sensation JoJo Siwa will become part of the first season, or the first same-sex couple on Dancing with the Stars.
Okay.
In the 30th season of the show, the singer will be paired with female professional dancer for the upcoming season, and I'm pretty sure the dancer was in the Olympics. I forget what her name was, but I mean, I'm really excited about this. One, because she is already a professional dancer. If you guys didn't know, she was on Dance Mom. She was one of the kids, and and she recently just came out as gay. So congratulations to her. I'm sure she had a lot of input in this decision.
And Tyra Banks. Yeah. You know, we're always dogging Tyra because she's no Tom Bergeron, and I just think the show's kind of tanked since then. But
it's true.
If she can bring this type of equality and diversity to the show, it's a good thing. So I'm thrilled that this is going to happen. It should have happened a long time ago. In my opinion. The next thing will be, will the audiences be okay with it, and will we see two males partnered up the following season? I mean, you know, you got to make progression, right? This next one is progression we could do without, in my opinion. I don't get this. I don't see the need for this. I'm a huge fan of him, but this is stupid. And ABC, what the fuck? I'm just going to say it. Steve Harvey has been tapped to host a new courtroom series for ABC. I'm not kidding, guys. Courtroom series. The network has ordered 10 episodes of Judge Steve Harvey, which is describing itself as courtroom comedy series. But the cases will be, in fact, real. Harvey will welcome real-life people into his courtroom to rule on conflicts ranging from family disputes and sour friendships to actual small claims. The show is set to air on ABC sometime next year. Why?
I have 2 predictions. It's either going to be really bad and everyone's going to hate it and no one's going to watch it, or it's going to be another guilty pleasure and everybody's going to fucking love it.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like, how many times can we knock off the People's Court?
Literally.
I mean, Judge Judy, like, is everything that's ever spawned is all a knockoff of the People's Court, and do we keep needing these? Like, I don't know.
I know, it is kind of weird, man. It is really freaking weird. Well, heading over to Fox, Stephen Wallum from Nurse Jackie is set for a key role in the upcoming 5th season of the Fox medical drama The Resident. Stephen will play Winston Roberts, a gentle, kindly legal blind man who is brought to the hospital after being involved in a car accident. He relies on a cane to get around and isn't afraid to move about in an unfamiliar place. He does his best to remain patient, but wanders off towards the danger.
I always I'm The Resident. You guys know it's The Resident, and you guys will too because Grey's is gone soon.
Yeah, it's probably the last season.
Flow over to The Resident. You guys will love it. It's fantastic. But no, I just always think they do great, and they've always been great at diversity. They've always been good with handicap. They've always been good with these type storylines. So to have a blind character and come in, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good. Okay, time to jump to the bunny, and I'm super excited about this one, too. Last week, we reported about Dua Lipa making her acting debut. Well, another famous singer and Oscar winner is making her acting debut. No pun intended. Her! Literally. Her has signed on for her first major acting role, landing a role in Blitz Boswelly's forthcoming adaptation of The Color Purple for Warner Brothers. She joins In the Heights star Corey Hawkins, who has also been cast. Now, Her is set to play Squeak, who goes from a juke joint waitress to an aspiring singer in the musical. And if you guys are old, like me, and remember, Ray Dong Chong played her in the original Steven Spielberg one back in 1985. Hawkins is set to play the role of Harpo. If you guys know, he was the Sir's son who married Sophie, and where Harpo Productions comes from. Why is that the case? Well, because if you're not old like me, Whoopi was also in it, but Oprah Winfrey made her feature debut acting in the original Color Purple, which is Harpo backward. You get it. You get it. Anyway, it's set to come out for December 20th, 2022. This is great casting. I fucking love. He was fantastic in the Heights, and her. I'm a huge fan of her. Yeah. So if she can act just even a scant, it's going to be fantastic.
I agree. I think a lot of people are going to watch this one and be impressed. To be honest with you,
and I wonder
she has a lot of talent.
And I wonder if it will launch like a ton of careers, like the original. I mean, it launched Whoopi Goldberg. It launched Oprah Winfrey. They had so many people in that film. Donald Glover, like just so many people that just after The Color Purple. So. I'm just wondering.
Who knows, man? Who knows? This next one's very exciting and by no surprise because it is one of those that is literally bouncing from each streaming service to streaming service.
Yes.
The latest one being HBO Max, and that is Harry Potter. All 8 original Harry Potter films from Warner Brothers is returning to HBO Max September 1st. When HBO Max launched back in 2020, May of 2020, it included the Harry Potter movies, but it was only for a 3-month carve-out on the streaming rights that the studio had sold to NBC Universal. In October 2020, the Peacock began streaming Harry Potter movies, and now Warner Brothers has again reclaimed it. Like I said, it's going to be a back and forth thing. Luckily enough, we have both, so we can watch them whenever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
So, I'm very excited about this, though.
I know, and now I'm finally going to watch all 8 of them. You heard that right. Like, I haven't watched any of them. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Hey, Demaine Davis, television director, producer, and award-winning filmmaker of projects such as Queen Sugar and Self-Made, apparently has signed an overall creative deal with Warner Brothers Television Group. Now, Now, under the terms of the pact, Davis joins the team of the upcoming DC Comics drama Naomi for the CW. Davis is going to serve as co-executive producer and the show's producing director, working alongside executive producers and writers Ava DuVernay and Jill Blankenship. As we've talked about on previous shows, Naomi is based on the DC Comics character of the same name, who will be played in the series by Casey Wallfall. The show follows a teen girl's journey from her small northwestern town to the heights of the multiverse. When a supernatural event shakes her hometown to the core, Naomi sets out to uncover the origins, and what she discovers will challenge everything she's ever known about superheroes. Yeah, it sounds intense, but it's a really good comic series, so I'm excited about it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, now on to the CW, and they will be welcoming back The Flash for Season 8 with a 5-part event special. Armageddon is set to begin November 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Armageddon will feature numerous guest appearances from some of the CW's most notable heroes and villains. Set to join the Flash team are I can never say her name
Javicia?
Javicia Leslie as Batwoman, Brandon Routh as the Atom, Cress Williams as Black Lightning, Shyler Lee as Sentinel, Kat McNamara as Mia Queen. Everybody knows, had her on the show. Be sure to go back and listen to her interview. Osric Chow as Ryan Choi, and Tom Cavanaugh and Neil McDonough will return as enemies of Emerald Twan, Reverse Flash, and Damien Dark. Now, respectively, in Armageddon, a powerful alien threat arrives on Earth, must undergo mysterious circumstances, and Barry, played by Grant Gustin, Iris, and the rest of the Team Flash are pushed to their limits in a desperate battle to save the world. But with time running out, the fate of humanity is at stake. Flash and his companions will also need to enlist some help of some old friends if the forces of good are able to prevail.
So I'm thrilled about this because everybody was kind of thinking, because, the CW announced earlier last year that there would be no more epic crossover events, like multi-show crossover events, but to have each one of these people kind of pop up in episodes of The Flash over these 5 weeks, that's awesome, because I was really kind of hoping. And obviously the one I'm most excited about is our former guest.
Yeah.
Kat McNamara, old Mia Queen there. Why? Because I'm hoping, and seeing the response on social media, I really think this is possible. Please pay attention, fucking CW. The response has been overwhelming. I'm hoping that this rethinks the situation and they finally fucking launch Green Arrow and the Canaries.
You would hope.
I think people really want that fucking show. You can tell based on the reaction that it got that Kat was coming back. Just fucking do it. Do it. And sticking with the fastest man alive, Tony Curran from Your Honor has joined the cast of The Flash also in the role of Despero. He is currently filming the upcoming 8th season of the series. Now, the character is described as a powerful and intelligent alien possessing incredible telepathic powers who left his homeworld, Kalanor, under mysterious circumstances. Now he's facing a deadly mission on Earth, one whose outcome will decide the fate of humankind and put him on a collision course with Team Flash. I'm wondering if he's part of that Armageddon invasion.
Seems like it, yeah.
I mean, it would make sense, right?
It really would. Neil Hopkins and Joy Asamaki
Good job.
will power up for DC's Stargirl as CW promotes the 2 actors as series regulars for Season 3. Both Hopkins, Sportsmaster, and Tigris were members of the Injustice Society of America and also appeared throughout Season 1. They are set to return for 1 episode in the current season on August 31st.
Yeah, that's odd to me. So we're in Season 2, and you promoted 2 other people to regulars in Season 3.
Season 3.
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
I was
CW.
Confused there. I was like,
yeah, but hey, at least they're getting 1 episode. I guess it'll be the last episode to set them up for Season 3. I don't know. That seems like odd news to just put out there, but hey, you go for it. Amono Okoje, who recurred as Cleo Sawande on the 3rd season of Legacies, has been promoted to a series regular for Season 4 of the CW drama. Now, Okoje played Cleo, a new witch student at the Salvador School who bonds with Hope over their artistic passions. Free-spirited and self-reliant, Cleo is excited to find a new home at the school and to earn a place in the Super Squad. As you guys know, she appeared in 9 episodes in the current season, so it only makes sense that they were bumping her up.
Exactly. Well, now heading over to the I, Viacom CBS. Actor and disability inclusion advocate and double hand amputee John W. Lawson has been cast as Stanny in Paramount's untitled Pet Sematary prequel. This makes the Pet Sematary prequel one of the first major horror fiction films to cast a double amputee in a starring role. While many of the pilot details remain under wraps, Paramount did share that in the script, Stanny was not originally without hands. After Lawson's auditioned, the role was rewritten just to suit him.
Good.
I love that shit.
Me too. I mean, that's the way it should be. If the actor is the best actor for the role and he just happens to have something that isn't included, fucking rewrite it and include it. I just love that they gave it to the best person for the role. I'm not at all excited, as we've talked about before, about this film, but I like what you're doing. It's good news. Star Trek Prodigy, I am excited about this one. The latest edition of the expanding universe of Trek series on Paramount Plus is adding sci-fi heavyweights John Noble from Fringe, yes, I love that, and Jimmy Simpson from Westworld to its series regular cast. Noble will voice the animated series lead villain known as the Diviner, whose rules the mining asteroid of Tars Lamara. Simpson will voice Dreadnought, Diviner's spider-like robotic minion, whose only purpose in life is to enforce his master's will at the hard-hearted ruthlessness.
Oh, wow!
And this is the one that where Captain Janeway from Voyager is going to be in it. So I'm excited about that one.
I am too. Star Trek living on, especially in the animated series.
Yes,
so that makes perfect sense. American Vandal creators Tony and Dan have landed a series order at Paramount Plus for an esports mockumentary series called Players. The series will follow a fictional pro League of Legends team as they pursue their first championship after years of close calls and heartache. To win it all, they will need their prodigy 17-year-old rookie and their 27-year-old veteran to put their egos aside and work together.
Okay.
Right?
This is a popular video game, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. So, okay.
Yeah.
That seems to be continuing the trend of making video games into series and movies, right?
Agreed.
Super pumped about this one, although I didn't expect it at all. Your Honor has apparently been renewed for Season 2 at Showtime. Originally set up as a limited series, Season 2 will see Bryan Cranston return as the respected New Orleans judge Michael DeCiato. Peter Moffat will also return as writer, showrunner, and executive producer. Season 2, which will consist of 10 episodes, will begin filming next year for a 2022 debut. Honestly, if you saw the ending of it, you're like, well, how is this possible? But apparently it is. We're going to continue the story of the judge, so I'm kind of pumped about it.
Yeah, the way you talk about it, I always thought it was like a limited series.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they tied up the story, and it was over. It was done, so I don't know. But apparently, according to Moffat, there's more stories to tell.
Right, it's like, that's kind of like defending Jacob coming back or some shit.
I mean, but hey, Cranston killed it, so I'm excited. I'm pumped for it.
Hell yeah. Blackish actress Jennifer Lewis has lined up her next TV role. Lewis will star opposite of Vanessa Bayer and Molly Shannon in I Love This For You, a comedy series at Showtime. She takes over the role for Sybil Shepherd, who had been recently cast as the icy, energetic CEO of a home shopping network. Sources say that in going from plot to series, the character moved in a different direction, and the producers and Shepard agreed to part ways. Lewis is entering the final season of ABC's Blackish at the moment, so it seems like things are going to line up perfectly.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's how it works out.
Exactly.
Showtime I like this one too. I like this story. Showtime has ordered a drama pilot inspired by the life of Rebecca Bender, a national leader and survivor of sex trafficking. The pilot, titled Coercion, hails from Susanna Grant with Sydney Chandler attached to star. The series picks up with Bender's escape from the world of sex trafficking after 6 years, her struggles to return to a normal life, and her emergence as a confident, funny, impassioned advocate for justice. Bender is now one of the nation's foremost experts on sex trafficking and serves as a consultant for federal law enforcement. Good. We need more stories like this out there to show what horrific stuff goes on with this. This is a huge problem in the U.S., guys, if you're not familiar with it. Anywhere along the I-10 corridor from the East Coast all the way out to California, girls are picked up and snatched left and right. I mean, this is huge.
It is. It really is. And bringing more awareness to this issue, especially through entertainment. That's what we talk about each week. This is the way to do it.
Yes.
Now heading over to NBC, Universal Pictures has set Tiffany Haddish to star in If, a live-action hybrid family comedy that has Mike Mitchell set to direct, a script by Darren Lemieux. The film blends animation and live action in the vein of Who Framed Robert Rabbit. The film is a story of an imaginary friend. So, yeah.
Stop.
Very interesting.
Stop.
You know.
Space Jam's cool, but every other movie that's ever tried, even Brad Pitt's Cool World, Brad Pitt, Kim Basinger, you think huge hit, right? No, it fucking sucked. It bombed. I just don't think they're ever going to capitalize on the success of Roger Rabbit with animation and live action. The Toontown stuff works, Space Jam, stuff like... I don't know.
It's got to be, I don't know, it's got to be completely different in my opinion, so who knows?
Yeah.
I don't even know if that could be done. So, yeah, I don't know if any storyline could ever capitalize on that. I think you're right.
I agree. NBC, I do like this one, though, is rounding out its Season 2 cast for Law & Order Organized Crime. Lolita Davidovich, McKetty Williamson, Guillermo Diaz, and Dash Mahak are all set for recurring roles on the upcoming Season 2 SVU spinoff series. Davidovich will play Flutura Brescu, Williamson will portray Preston Webb, Diaz will play Sergeant Bill Brewster, and Mihawk will portray Reggie Bogdani. I'm betting he's part of the Mafia, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with that. Character descriptions are being kept under wraps, so we'll find out, and then you'll find out.
Exactly. This next one I'm pretty excited about because I'm a huge fan of Annie. NBC has found its Annie and the 12-year-old Atlanta native Selena Smith following a nationwide search. The young performer has landed the title role in the NBC's upcoming holiday musical Annie Live. Smith began her career playing young Nala in the touring company of The Lion King and also appears on the series Tyler Perry's Young Dylan. Smith joins previously announced stars as Taraji P. Henson, Harry Connick Jr., Nicole Schwarzenegger, and so many more. So, yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I mean, she's already an up-and-comer. So, shit, kudos to her.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. 12 years old to get the lead like that. That's fucking fantastic.
Right?
I mean, come on now. All right, jump into Sony because this is the biggest one maybe of the week. The official trailer for Marvel's highly anticipated Spider-Man No Way Home finally dropped. The clip sees Peter Parker face the most brutal foe to date, his past. After nearly a year of speculation, the trailer confirmed the multiverse plot, No Way Home, which will bring Holland together with villains of previous Spider-Man cinematic franchises. This includes Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, Jamie Foxx's Electro, and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Now, in the most recent Spidey sequel, Parker's true identity was exposed, as you guys know, over the film's final moments. Now confronting exposure and serious consequences, high school student Parker's life has been spun into chaos. Seeking supernatural solution, he goes to the only person he thinks can help, Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Looking for a spell that will undo the big reveal and set things as they were. Thanks to some trusty teen awkwardness, though, the magic unleashed plunges Parker and Strange into a multiverse of untold danger.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm super fucked. The trailer was epic. And it's just going to be amazing.
Agreed,
it's going to be absolutely fucking amazing.
Agreed. I mean, it's already breaking records, and according to Sony Pictures, the teaser trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home has set new all-time records for the most global views in the first 24 hours, with 355.5 million views.
Damn!
That far surpasses the previous record held by the trailer for Avengers Endgame, which picked up 289 million views back in December of 2018. The trailer also earned the most ever mentions on social media of any movie preview over the first 24 hours, with 4.5 million mentions worldwide. Domestically, No Way Home drew 2.9 million mentions over 24 hours, and nearly doubling the 1.9 million that the Endgame trailer brought in. And it's very interesting because I wonder if they just went ahead and released the trailer after it got leaked.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly why they did it.
That leak was awful. You barely saw anything. It was through like 3 different phones. But, I don't blame them because, people have been wanting this trailer forever.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and it delivered. I'm just going to say it delivered. If you haven't seen it yet, first of all, I don't believe you because you're 355 million fucking views. But it was epic. I'm super excited. And not excited about this one. Mayim Bayak, as we told you, will fill in as host of the syndicated episodes of Jeopardy in the wake of Mike Richards' exit. Sony Pictures Television, which produces the long-running quiz show, announced that Bialik, I never can say her name either, Bialik, I don't know, is scheduled to tape 3 weeks of episodes when productions resume this week for a total of 15 episodes. Per Sony, additional guest hosts will be announced at a later date. Why? LeVar fucking Burton. We don't need to run a gambit of guest hosts again. LeVar fucking Burton. That's your host. Okay.
Heading over to MGM, Daniel Weber is set to star opposite of Tom Blyth and Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
Epic's upcoming hour-long drama series, described as the most epic romantic adventure based on the life of Billy the Kid, also known as William H. Bonney, as it tracks his life from humble Irish roots at the early days as a cowboy and gunslinger in America's frontier to his pivotal role in the Lincoln County War and beyond. Weber is set to play Jesse Evans. If Billy the Kid hadn't been there, Evans would have been the most famous outlaw taking part of the Lincoln County Wars. The leader of the Seven Rivers Gang, Jesse meets Billy when both of them are teenagers. Unlike Billy, Jesse has already embraced the life of crime, robbing stores and cattle rustling. So I'm very excited about this because you guys know him and I are huge fans of the Billy the Kid story, so it's going to be epic.
Oh, yeah, and I'm trying to go into it without comparing it to Young Guns because I think that's the definitive telling of Billy the Kid, right?
It is.
So I don't want to compare it until we kind of see it because that'd be wrong to do.
Exactly.
But I'm probably going to do it anyway.
I know.
Lionsgate has moved its domestic theatrical premiere for sports drama American Underdog to Christmas Day. The film was originally set to premiere on December 10th. Now, this is the one that's starring Zachary Levi as Kurt Warner from the Rams, who basically went from stocking shelves to Super Bowl fucking champion. Like, it's an impressive story. Now, I'm getting this. They said because of a packed schedule on the 10th, but you don't move a film to Christmas Day unless you feel like it's got serious potential for Oscar nominations, in my opinion. And I'm guessing with this storyline and Zachary Levi, that's probably a good bet.
Probably.
Just going to say.
Yeah, I could see that. I could really see that. Netflix, after weeks of negotiation and rumors soaring all across the web, Netflix has closed the deal for a supersized 4th and final season of the hit show Manifest.
Yes!
Previously on NBC Universal, which will be available exclusively on Netflix worldwide, in a nod to Manifest fans whose passion and support helped resurrect the show from its following cancellation from NBC. The announcement of Season 4 pickup by Netflix was made so-called on 8/28 Day, which is 8/28, which is today, Saturday.
Yes.
When the series about a mystery flight 828 is celebrated annually, and they also announced this thing at 8:28 a.m. Pacific time. The final season will be 20 episodes, and it's customary for a series on Netflix. The 20-episode season will be split into multiple parts, which is not surprising, and those multiple parts will probably be from two years apart from each other. Actors all participated in the Save Manifest campaign, which helped keep the show at the top of the Netflix streaming ranks and ultimately bring back From the Dead.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people are excited about it.
Oh, yes. Super excited about it. And congratulations, because that's like the most successful hashtag campaign since Save Lucifer. So, congratulations, guys. This is going to be an interesting one. Eddie Murphy will apparently star opposite Jonah Hill in an untitled comedy feature that Kenya Barris is directing for Netflix. Plot details are being kept secret, but it's said to be an inclusive examination of modern love and family dynamics and how clashing cultures, societal expectations, and generational differences shape and affect relationships. Now, Murphy and Hill will find themselves on opposite sides of some of those divides, and this is actually, get this guy, Kenya Barris's feature directorial debut. So we all know he's a great writer, right? And he's been creating a bunch of shit, so directorial debut. And you've got Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill. What?
Right?
Yeah, I bet it's going to be a good one.
I agree, man. I agree. Netflix has also acquired the world rights of Reptile, attaching Oscar nominee Justin Timberlake to star opposite of Benicio del Toro, whose casting has already been announced. The film picks up following a brutal murder of a young real estate agent, following a hardened detective who's going to be played by Del Toro, as he attempts to uncover the truth in a case where nothing seems as it is. In doing so, he finds himself dismantling the illusions in his own life. Ooh. So, I mean, very intense. With two phenomenal fucking stars.
Hell yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Me too. I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan. Yeah. I say it all the time. I think he should get more credit as an actor. And you put him against Benicio del Toro, that's saying you think he can act.
Yeah, he's stepping more in front of the camera too, which I like to see.
Me too. This one was kind of surprising, guys. I mean, so season 4 hasn't even aired yet. It hasn't even started. But apparently Cobra Kai has been renewed for Season 5 at Netflix. The news comes just before Season 4 of the critically acclaimed series has premiered. The new season of the series is scheduled to debut in December, because we've told you that, but with Season 5 set to start shooting this fall in Atlanta. Again, see? Atlanta, guys. Sign up for that program. Get a be a PA on fucking Cobra Kai.
Exactly.
How badass would that be, right?
That would be freaking amazing. You'd probably learn some badass moves, too.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
Oh, man. Well, Stranger Things star Pryor Ferguson has signed on to star opposite of Marlon Wayans in his upcoming Halloween adventure comedy movie for Netflix. Ferguson will play a teenage girl who accidentally unleashes an ancient and mischievous spirit on Halloween, causing decorations to come alive and wreak havoc. In order to save the town, she must team up with the last person she'd want to, her skeptical father, who's played by Wayans. So,
all right, that already sounds pretty funny.
That does sound funny.
I'm in on it. To all the boys I've loved before, breakout star Lana Condor will be joined by Zoe Colletti from Fear of the Walking Dead, Mason Versoff from Gossip Girl, and Aparna Brielle from AP Bio in the Netflix comedy Boo Bitch. Boo! Boo! Bitch! I'm guessing that's how they're going to say it. I don't know. The plot apparently centers on a high school senior who has lived her life under the radar. Over the course of one night, she seizes the opportunity to change her narrative and start living an epic life, only to find out the next morning she's a motherfucking ghost.
Damn!
That's literally how it's written. She's a motherfucking ghost. Boo, bitch. Okay, I'm in on this one. If that's original, it sounds like it should be pretty funny. Okay.
I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Netflix
has tapped Victoria Mahoney to direct its sequel to The Old Guard. The superhero live action led by Charlize Theron, along with Sharon Theron. The returning cast will include Kiki Lane, Matthias Charnides, Marwan Canarzi, Luca Marinelli, Veronica Nigo, and Chatel Ekfor. Since serving as second unit director on the J.J. Abrams directed Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, Mahoney has become an in-demand director and is currently in talks to helm the graphic novel adaptation of Kill Them All for Paramount. Her credits include the semi-autobiographical drama Yelling to the Sky, starring Zoe Kravitz, and several episodes of television such as The Morning Show, Grey's Anatomy, and The Queen's Sugar. So, very interesting, man. I love it. More female directors. That's what we need.
And see, second unit director who's getting step up, becoming the director. That's awesome, man. Just get on a set. Just work your way up. That's how you got to do it. All right, now we're going to end this one. There's no studio attached here, but this story was just too fucking good not to talk about it. This sounds like it could potentially be epic, okay? Here's how it is. It all started, apparently, with a text message, okay? Apparently, Dave Bautista text message to Jason Momoa saying, hey man, we should do a buddy cop film together. Now, apparently the duo is going to do just that. They're in midst of developing the project. Momoa recently shared a bit of detail about the budding project. He said, quote, Bautista literally texted me 4 days ago going, we need to do a buddy cop film. We love each other. We're on sea and Dune together. And I said, absolutely. And then he said, let's do it in Hawaii. And I said, okay, let's do it. I have an idea. So it's off to the races, and now we're doing it.
That's great.
Now, when asked why they think they should do it, Momoa said, dude, it sells itself. Dave loves wearing Speedos. I love wearing board shorts. And both of us with our shirts off, he'll be grumpy, I'll be charming. Boom. Sells itself. I have hair. He doesn't. We cover all the fucking demographics. I mean, you can't argue that. No. Like Bautista and Momoa in a Speedo and board shorts, shirtless in Hawaii, chasing bad guys. It's time to end Fast, Furious, and set this shit up. Yeah, okay? Right. That's all I'm saying, man. There is a future for buddy cop films, and that's it.
I agree. That would be absolutely hysterical. I'm not going to lie. But man, oh man, it is now time for the interview. We've got the one and only Melissa Bruning coming on the show to talk about Space Jam. Man, oh man, this was definitely an interesting one to work on, as she talks about in the interview. But she leaves a lot of advice for the up-and-comers who are trying to break into the entertainment industry in other ways other than just acting.
Yeah, I mean, I always love these interviews, the below the line, and if you're not familiar with what BTL or below the line is, see, that's why you should be listening to our show. But, there's more than just being an actor in front of the camera. There's so much more that goes on, and so these type of interviews are the ones that we love to have on, so agreed. I'm pumped.
Agreed. Well, here she is.
Melissa Bruning, welcome inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm ready to get crazy.
What we like to do at the very beginning is have our guests introduce themselves to the listeners. You are a costume designer, so was that something you always wanted to do, or did you just kind of fall into it? I actually saw in a previous interview you started thinking about this career path at the age of 8.
Yeah, I was an odd kid, but not in a bad way. But I was lucky. I was raised by artists, and my dad is a sculptor, my mom was a painter, and they're both educators also. And I like the three-dimensional quality of costume design. Mm-hmm. And specifically, I thought for sure I was Broadway bound. And for a long time I did theater. I did sets and costumes in high school. I have a BFA in technical theater, which basically means like sets and costumes, and right. I did sets and lights and all that kind of stuff. And then I went and got a master's in costume design from NYU. So it was pretty much like junior high, like I like theater, I like clothes, I like to make things, I could sew. And then it just sort of like kept defining into more of a path. And then by the time I got to New York, I had worked on a lot of off-Broadway and some like Broadway tryouts, and it was the 90s, and film, we didn't study film in school. It was sort of there because it was NYU Film School was next to us, but we were like, we're doing theater. So we didn't really dabble in it much. And it was the kind of indie heyday where anybody who could find $1 million or $500,000 scrapped together a film.
That's right.
So somebody called me and they're like, hey, do you want to work on this film? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I found out that I loved it. I loved how immediate it was.
Yes.
It was my fear for myself was that I was going to end up doing West Side Story in Ohio, which, I love West Side Story and I love Ohio, but it wasn't the career path that I was wanting to do. And to be a Broadway designer, I mean, you're a Broadway designer till you die. So like Willa Kim was still designing on Broadway in her 80s. And I was like, There's no room. There's just, unless you somehow find like that niche in, I just didn't feel like there was room for me. But I love film, and I felt like there was room for me in film.
See, and I feel like no matter what position, right, on a film, I feel like once you're a part of it, once you're on board, that magic and there's like no other feeling like that, right? It's just like, whoa, I want to be here. I want to do this. I think it's just an unmatched parallel when people get on and they're like, wow.
It's visual storytelling. I mean, what I was trained to do, part of our the master's program at NYU, you had to present a project. They were like, okay, we're doing Chekhov Seagull, but you had to approach it as a director. As this is sort of the idea I'm coming from. Like, I want to do it all in black and white, or I want to do it very realistic, but this happens at times. Or you kind of come to the project with your own ideas, and I feel like that has helped me a lot in film, because I'm actually able to work. Film directors don't always come from a visual artist identity, and I feel like I'm able to give them that artistic component of, like, if we do all the colors desaturated here, but we push it, scale it up in this section, it's going to give you an extra emphasis in that area. And it's a language that I take from theater, but I feel like it's helpful to directors in mainstream films also.
No, that's a very interesting way to look at it, because like we told you before we started recording, you're our first ever costume designer. So I mean, speaking of the latest project you did, Space Jam: A New Legacy, I can imagine with the final sequence, the whole basketball game being shot in the dark, did you have to navigate that challenge in some sort of way, maybe bring out the brightness of more colors?
We definitely did. In fact, I didn't even know it was being shot in the dark till we did a camera test.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, oh wow, because you're so used to stadiums being so bright.
Yeah.
And it's the kids movie, I was like, oh, it's gonna be bright and cheery and very, like stadium like. And it was not that at all. And so, which is why you do camera tests and
Definitely.
visual tests, so that everybody's on the same page. But what we realized too, because I was testing different colors of uniforms, and what I realized was that the lights that they were using for Space Night were desaturating the colors that I was using in uniforms. So I had to go back and punch everything up and make it much more vivid, mainly so that it didn't gray out. Which is, but then it shows up on products and stuff like that, also extremely graphic and visual, which I feel like works for the piece. But, a lot of what I do is defined by the lighting on the set. So it's defined by the actors, what they want to wear, how they wear it, what fits them, who they are. It's defined by the lighting, because the lighting creates a three-dimensionality to it. So if the costume is really working, it works well under the lights too.
Right. So do you work in close relation with the gaffer then? Do you have conversations back and forth, like after he's done what he's doing with the director and they figure out how it's going to be lit and what the plan is? And I mean, do you have conversation back and forth saying, okay, here's the lighting scheme, so I need to know this, this, and this, so that when your process begins, and I guess that's another question for anybody out there listening, when does your process begin? Are you brought in at what point during pre-production do you start to come in and do your work?
First off, I'm usually informed by the DP, director of photography, about how he's going to light it. And also the production designer of they usually do visuals of the sets of how they're going to be lit. There was also in this concept art of what it should look like when they light it on stage. So for me, I don't necessarily talk to them specifically, although when we do camera tests and we look at the footage, that's when we say, oh, I need to bump this up, I need to take this down. Especially like in the Planet of the Apes movies, I had to see the level of distressing, right? So, the scenes at night, I needed to punch up the distressing so that it didn't clean up too much. But if it was a daylight scene, then you didn't want to see too much texturizing. And it's kind of the same way with Space Jam, where, I had to find out how they were lighting it. And then also, because it was a lot of motion capture work with the tunes and working with animation, I had to check with them to see how they were going to approach that piece of it. So it's a lot of production meetings, but I like to pride myself on that. I feel like I have enough experience that when somebody shows me those visuals, I can give them what they need.
Very interesting, very interesting. And I'm glad you brought up Planet of the Apes too, because that was going into my next question. With it being a lot of motion capture with Planet of the Apes and with the new Space Jam movie, does that bring a new like hurdle to jump over, or is it kind of just another thing to throw in the book and just go down the original process?
I think it was helpful for me because I was one of the few people on the project in the beginning who had any motion capture experience.
Okay.
So when you're doing motion capture, we have to have these motion capture suits that we have made. And so I have a close relationship with the visual effects department because their needs are always changing. So even just during the Apes movies, the outfits evolved. And then I've had motion capture on 2 of the Apes movies, on Rampage with Dwayne Johnson, and also on Space Jam. So I also know a lot of the performers. And when they were starting to do some of the practice for the game, they had basketball players that they auditioned and came in to help play the different parts of the goons. But the tunes requires somebody who is more whimsical and gymnastic. And so Terry Notary, who I'd worked with on a couple of on the Apes movies and then also on Rampage, I was like, you should talk to Terry, because he knows all those guys that can flip up down and do loony stuff. And so, when you're working on production, I like to think that I'm also I'm helping the whole process.
Yeah.
That I know people that I've worked with that I feel like will help make everything better. I can say, hey, you should call Terry.
Right.
And they did.
And that's what it's all about, right? It's about the best possible product, the finished product. And if there's a better way, if there's a better person, if there's a better idea, right? You shouldn't be afraid to say, this is what we should do. And I love that you brought that up because we talk about that all the time. It's a collaborative effort. Filmmaking is a collaborative effort, and you can't have an ego. You've got to be able to listen as well as tell. And so I love that. I love that you brought that up. And also, I'm very interested because you talked about camera testing and all the different things, but and that you've been at it for a while. So I'm really curious, the transition from film to digital and kind of that whole process over the last few decades, right? And the whole computer era of previs, right? Do you find that's, because now they can light the whole thing right there on the computer and they can see how it's going to play out and what it's going to look like before they ever set up a light. So do you find that whole process easier now? Does that make your job easier, more difficult, or do you just approach it a different way with that?
I love a previs. It tells me the director's intention, right? And so I'm not going to waste time on this group of background if I know it's a foreground shot for most of it, or if the concentration is going to be in a tight or a medium, I'm not going to stress out about the level of the shoes being right, if that makes sense. But if there's a shoe shot, well, thank God I know. You know what I mean? like it's like you'll look at something sometimes and be like, or wait, who's that guy over there that he's interacting with? Oh yeah, he's kind of background. I think we're going to cast a stunt. I'm like, well, for me, this is a major player, even though he's not on paperwork, probably doesn't have a name. But for me, I know he's interacting with my lead or my second. So he's important. He's part of a storytelling component. And so I know this costume is going to be next to this costume. And sometimes you get a list of stunt performers and you're like, oh, they're just going to fall off a building in the back. But if they're involved in more of a way towards the front of camera, you know that you have to take special care with that. Yeah. And it's not even like going to the mall and just picking out clothes. Like there's an actual art of filmmaking that as a costume designer, I feel like I bring a level of knowledge to everybody else of like, well, I can give you this. Or if we do it this way, I'm going to make sure that when you have have your composition of visual composition, I'm going to make sure it all looks like a painting.
Right.
That nothing's going to jump out too much, that nothing's going to recede too much, so that they get that beautiful visual picture.
Right. And I mean, what was it like? Because Warner Media is such a legendary film studio in Hollywood, and they definitely like touched on each one of their big franchises in this film, which I thought was absolutely amazing, like with Casablanca and Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, all of it. Yeah. What was that like? Did you just kind of get to open up a whole big like wardrobe thing and pick out certain selections from different franchises on the Warner Brothers lot, or like did they have that specifically in mind?
Well, it starts with the script, right? So if there's something specifically called for. Our problem with this, it takes a long time to clear things through legal.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't, it was kind of a moving target. So we knew we might be doing this costume, we might be doing that costume. Oh, wow. But if it didn't legally clear, then we couldn't do it. So, we got to a point where we would start to build, like I would go to the line producer and say, I need to start now. If I don't start building this costume, it won't be ready for shooting. Right. But we don't have permission to actually build it yet. And so with the line producer, we talk about which is money well spent, right? Do you spend the 10 grand to build the costume and maybe it ends up on the cutting room floor, or do you screw up your schedule because the costume's not ready and you can't shoot it when you need to? Right. So it's all sort of a variable of, what do you need ready by what day? And at the scene, spoiler, when they're at the game and we have all the sort of Warner Brother characters there. I mean, that was 3 months of clearing characters.
Oh, wow.
And starting to build, like I basically went through the whole catalog. And at first it started with just villains. And I was like, okay, we're not going to have enough villains. Right. Because like there's one villain in the movie and then like everybody else is good. So and then I would just make a list and start submitting it to clearance. And I get every couple days, I would get paperwork back from them saying, this estate says no. This, they're thinking about it, but it can't be in a film that has alcohol or drugs.
Right.
This one, and you had to, so each film had to have a different layer of clearance. Wow. Before we get to presenting to the director, these are the characters I can clear for you. So I had a thick, like 3-inch binder of the picture of the character and the film it was from and what our level of clearance was on it. Wow. And as we would go through, once something got okayed, we move it to a different one so that the shop could start building it. But we got to a point where, Harry Potter is not clearing yet. JK hasn't said yes or no. So we had to just go ahead and build it, hope for the best. So the last week of shooting the background, Voldemort finally got pushed out there to be in the crowd because we didn't have permission before that.
Right.
So a couple of questions through all that. Because what you brought up is a very good point though. When you talk about the line producer, and thankfully a lot of our listeners know what a line producer is. So when you talk about that though, like you said, it's a balancing act, right? Because either do we spend the money here to make the costume and then it's never seen, or do we mess up the schedule? Either or is going to cost money. Yeah. You're gonna lose money either way, right? So that balancing act. So I love that. And then I guess when you were talking about all of the clearances and the different things like that, Logan, you brought up a good point of all the legacy films, right? And all the different Warner Brothers films, but there's also the original Space Jam. And they are very particular about the original Space Jam. And so what was that process like to have to come in and go, okay, I want to do all of this, but I can't do this because we don't want to trample on the original Space Jam. And so what was your approach to kind of like update it, I guess, and kind of give it a whole new fresh look, but similar to the original because, it is homage, it is the same. So how do you make something different but the same?
I mean, I think you have to rely on your director, right? Like, what does your director want? What's important to him? What year are you setting this? So for me, I knew it was going to come out I knew it was going to come out in 2021, even though we're shooting in 2019. And so for the modern day dress stuff, I was looking at just contemporary, if you go up the food chain of fashion, you look at the high fashion and what's going to start trickling down. So you look at the colors, you look at the textures, you get the expensive designers because they're sort of at the forefront of it. And I wanted to make sure that, it felt, it's like a fine line. You want it to feel contemporary, but you also want it to feel timeless. So you don't want anything that's so disturbing to the eye that you're not going to be able to concentrate. In the original Space Jam, I think that he wore a polo for it, which is a very like timeless kind of look.
Right.
And so we also were trying to, I was like, okay, let's look at bomber jackets or styles that don't have a specific collar. The colors I tried to keep very in the Looney Tunes family. Saturated and bright. And I used brands that were expensive because they're a rich family. I wanted that to come through.
Right.
And so, you just sort of play around with that. When you get to recreating things like Casablanca or Mad Max or what else? Matrix, that it's a given. That is what it is. So the challenge is, how do you create that for somebody who's like 6'9"?
Right.
How do you translate scale?
Right.
Which is a different sort of thing. And luckily, my education in cost, like because of my master's, because I have actually made a lot of costumes. I had to take tailoring and I had to take hat making, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like fabrics and fabrication is a real strong skill of mine that I have. So the characters at the Space Jam game were for me. I was like, yeah. Let's do it. Let's, Wicked Witch of the West, check.
Right.
And I would have assistants come in. I had just 2, I think, completely just fabric assistants that would come in with fabric swatches every day for me to look through, to pick, to buy, to make those costumes out of.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear. And I mean, I'm just curious about this too. Is it all a beforehand thing, or do you actually have to make some stuff on set? I mean, do you get into a bind sometimes where you have to make at least a certain kind of costume on set?
At this level, you shouldn't.
Right. Right. You should not.
But it's too much at stake, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have a lot of what's the word for it? You have a lot of like markers you have to check. So you have to do a fitting with the actor. The actor has to like it. And then you present those pictures to the director, and then the director picks what they like. And then the studio looks at it and they say what they like. And so you have several stages that you go to before the costume is ready. And then the costumes have to go to a trailer. They have to get ready so that they're steamed out and ready and in an actor's trailer at 4 a.m.
Right.
So you can't really, I've been on indies where it's like, oh wait, we're going to call this guy up and he needs to look dirty. And I'm like, okay, crap. We're going to, and I luckily don't have to do that kind of stuff as much anymore, because it's very it's hard to sleep.
I can imagine.
If every day you're going to be thrown a curveball and like, oh God, do I have this?
Right. Like those nightmare scenarios where you're on an indie film and they're supposed to get bloody and they realize we've got to do another take and you only had one shirt. Wait, what? Like that type stuff, right?
I mean, I did back in the day, I did a movie called Club Dread with the Broken Lizard guys that I did Super Troopers with. And we were in Mexico. And they literally were so behind on shooting that I had like a number of clothes for some of those bloody moments.
Right.
But I didn't have enough to have because, you've got your lead, you've got the pre, you've got the post, you've got all these different levels. Well, they brought in a whole team of stunt people to be these people.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have enough clothes for that. And so everybody got one, and then we'd have to wash it out. And
oh, my goodness.
It was nightmarish. And none of them existed anymore because we'd been shooting in Mexico for 3 months.
Right.
Nobody else on my crew spoke English except for one girl. And I didn't speak Spanish. I took French in school. So that didn't help. So it's like those kinds of things. Like, thank God, I feel like I'm at a place in my career where, I don't have as much of that. But we did on Space Jam. There was Don Cheadle's character was supposed to be a motion capture suit. He was not going to be in clothes. And we'd ask at every meeting, so is Don going to be in clothes? Are we going to do LG in clothes?
Right.
No, digital effect, all digital. Well, then the day came of like, you know what? He's so great. We should probably have him in the film as himself and we'll just augment it. And I was like, okay. He shoots in 3 days and I have nothing.
Oh my goodness.
For this man. Like, we all looked at each other and we're like, oh my God. Like, heart, when your heart starts to be like, oh God, we're going to be in an earthquake. It's and we suffered through, and it was hairy. I'm not gonna lie. And we just kept churning things out every day because one costume became, I think we probably had 30 costumes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's so much stuff that's not in the film. There's a whole dance sequence with backup dancers. Just didn't make it in, but you don't know what's going to make it in.
Right.
So everything 100%.
Exactly. And I mean, speaking of Don Cheadle's costumes, I have to say I'm from Indiana, diehard Hoosier fan, so I love that little notion about Bobby Knight. I bet a lot of people did not catch that, but I was cracking up in the theater when everybody else was like, what is he laughing about? But yes.
I know. There's so much inside basketball in this film. Like, if you're a real basketball player and into it, there's like all these gestures, there's Dame time, there's all this stuff that is so layered that I feel what's great about this film is, my kids liked it and they're 4 and 7, and that's great. Check. But friends of mine that are older are like, yeah, I liked it because I'm into basketball and I knew all the inside stuff. Or other people are like, well, I just like LeBron, or I just what somebody would do with it, or I'm a huge Don Cheadle fan.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's got a lot for everybody.
Agreed. And I mean, you've gotten a chance to dress like a whole bunch of amazing actors and talent in Hollywood. I mean, The Rock, Val Kilmer, Christopher Walken, LeBron James, Don Cheadle, the list goes on and on. Reese Witherspoon. Yeah. Like, who would you say was your favorite or your favorite costume that you got to put on these magnificent people?
That's a hard one.
Right.
I mean, as far as like dressing somebody and kind of living with them through the movie, Reese definitely. I mean, she's an awesome person, and just to know that I could support her in this role. And when I was doing the film, I was also pregnant with my son.
Oh, wow.
So she would be like, don't you go out there. Don't go out there. I look great. Just send Lindsay. And I was like, are you sure I can walk out there? And it said, no. I did it. She was like, I had to work through all my pregnancies and it sucks, but so like as a person who I adore and as a performer that I felt like just nailed it, and just knowing like, 90s clothes are not attractive.
Right.
So we really, we did our best. I got to work with Cheryl, whose story it was. And so it was a very personal project in that way.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that means a lot. But I mean, I've been very lucky to work with very talented people. I love Dwayne. He's great. I love LeBron. He's great. These are professionals and they treat me like a professional. And I hope that I like to think that what I can do that's best for them is to make them feel comfortable, that they feel like that character, that they can forget about what they're wearing, that they can just be who that person is. And I think through my work in theater that like I'm used to working with actors to develop like, oh, I need this scarf is going to help me be this person.
Right.
So I feel like I want to unhamper them from the clothes. I don't want them thinking about, do I look good in this or not? I just want them to feel right.
See, well, and I think you did really, really well with Wild. Like, if you were like, oh, 90s clothes and all that, because that movie inspired so many people. That character inspired so many people. And I got to tell you, when everybody decided to take that journey and go hiking and do that, and they start posting all their pictures everywhere, they all looked like Reese. So I think they were all emulating your guy. It's like, well, if that's how you dress, then that's how we dress. So,
yeah, exactly.
Well done.
My flannel and my boots. And
that's right. That's right. So, okay, so first of all, thank you so much, because I really feel like a lot of people out there just think that, like you said at the top of the interview, costume designers run out and buy some clothes and bring it into the set, and that's what they wear. So to have this conversation and get it out there about what really goes on and the process and everything is just fantastic. And what we normally do near the end is to have you pass along some advice and things like that. But what I think would be really cool is kind of, for anybody out there that maybe is sketching some designs, right? And wants to, and kind of, what is the process? How does one go from sketching some designs with dreams of being in the movies? Where do you start? How do you get in? What's the path? Because I feel like a lot of people have no clue, right? They know acting's easy, right? You got to go audition. But how do you do costume design?
I mean, I think that you should go to school for it. I think that it is a trade that you are helped by knowing what you are doing, by knowing the history of what's behind it, by doing character analysis in classes. You do Chekhov and okay, this is the climate of the country that this play is in. This is the temperature. This is the season. This is who this woman is. She wears this kind of stuff. This is, right. And I think that, everything I do is character development. It's all about who this person in life is and history and context. And I think that if you learn that in school, then you can learn that on the job. I just talked to a bunch of NYU graduates, and my advice to them was, find the biggest film that you can get on and be a PA in the costume department. And just don't set yourself up to fail. Just be there to observe and watch. And I know the money sucks, but eventually you will get there. And there's going to be tricks that you will learn at a higher level, and you're going to get more exposure to different types of filmmaking with all the bells and whistles than you do on independent films. But you do that, you watch, you learn, and then you do your own independent film. And you take what you've learned, and you take the people who you like and the people who will do favors for you because you've been so good doing these bigger things, that then you can design your own stuff. And I think, I did a lot of going back and forth. I'd work on something big and then I'd do my own piece. And you learn, it's twofold. You learn through the big stuff and you learn through the small stuff. Right. And if you can do the small films, you can certainly do the big films.
No, that's so good.
Love that.
That's so good. I mean, all these up-and-coming artists are just going to absolutely love this one. We appreciate you so much again. I mean, from the bottom of our hearts. Anytime you ever want to come back on, there's a lot more stuff that we would like to talk about with you. So, anytime, this was a blast.
Absolutely.
But it's all about social media now, so where can people follow you?
They can go to my Instagram, Melissa Bruning, and I post updates. And, luckily I'm getting out there. I'm doing some interviews because I believe in costume design. And I think it's important for people to understand that it's an art form.
Yes.
Completely agree. Well, listen, take care. Thank you so much yet again. We appreciate it so much. And you have just a great rest of the evening, and we'll be talking to you soon.
You.
Of course.
All right.
Course.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was absolutely amazing.
I mean, I love when we do below the line individuals because that's where it's at.
Yeah.
That is what, without those people, and you know who we're talking about, the people that you don't sit in and watch at the end, right?
Yeah.
Right? The list of people. nothing happens without them. And to hear the process, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah.
What goes into something that a lot of people think is just a simple thing.
Exactly.
And it is not a simple thing. And I love the whole approach it as a director. It's a very visual medium, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I learned so much. Like, honestly, I wouldn't even thought. But the more she talked about going to school, we talk about all the time, when it comes to acting and or directing or writing, you don't necessarily need school for it. But when it comes to something like costume design and like making connections in school, I feel like that is very important. That's a very important niche to go to school for, because there's so many different fabrics, there's so many different like types of designs that you should probably be learning before you even step foot on a film set. So just to get that information and put that out to the world, I think is very important.
Exactly. And then life experience, because she was talking about experience. You need to know this character and that character, and it's all about character development. And the biggest thing, guys, see, it doesn't matter whether you're an actor, a director, everything above the line in front of the camera, right? Or you're below the line and you're designing costumes and everything. What did she say? Get on a set.
Yep.
That is invaluable experience where you learn the most. Get on a set. So that's the trend from every guest we ever talk to. So if you're listening, get on a set.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Melissa was just absolutely phenomenal. Oh, man. Thank you again, Melissa, for coming on the show. All right. Now it is time for the top 5, man. And we're just kind of on a roll. Jason must be reading a lot or something. Because now, I mean, you guys know, last week was nonfiction books. So this week, it's fiction books. And I mean, you guys know that we love film and television. So a lot of our stuff is kind of related to that, things that get adapted. That's the word. Adapted to content like that. So
Yes.
I've been up since like 5:30. It's fine. All right, number 5 for me goes back to like my middle school days, because this one I love, man. I absolutely enjoyed, because this could literally be anyone. Number 5, it's Slam. Now, it's a basketball-based story where basically this guy is trying to become like his idol that is also in the neighborhood that also plays basketball. Well, he idolizes this guy throughout the whole book, tries to be better than him, if not the same skill level. But then at the end of it, he realizes that his idol that is super good at basketball is also dealing drugs in the street. And so it's just like a story that you're like, oh, he's my idol, but he's not as good as I thought he was. Because you put people up on a pedestal sometimes when you don't need to, and when you should just be trying to develop yourself rather than trying to make yourself into someone else. So I think that's very important, because it's always good to have idols in a certain aspect of life, but don't try to idolize everybody in their entire life, because you have to become your own person. So that's why number 5 for me is Slam.
Okay.
Got deep.
That got real deep. My number 5 was written about the year that I was in middle school and first year of high school. But it was not written that year, though. It was about that year. It was supposed to be the future. I'm, of course, talking about George Orwell's 1984.
I thought I said 1904.
No, 1984, dude. Come on now. I'd be looking fucking good if it was 1904. I'm just saying, man. I must be immortal. Where's the fucking sword? There can only be one.
Yeah.
I will chop the motherfucking heads off. I am staying. Anyway, back to 1984. As you guys know, this is a story about a dystopian future, which eerily predicted pretty much the fucking Trump generation. I mean, Seriously. This story is just like, I feel like we're living it. This dystopian future of where all the things that we're going through, and the chaos and the disturbing social issues and all of the kind of things that we're seeing pretty much was predicted in this book, 1984. And everybody thought it was like this far out crazy. This could never happen. This is so out there. And yet, here we are.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend going and reading it and looking at the parallels and looking at the similarities of what's going on in society today, and you'll realize, I guess, the genius and the foretelling of George Orwell, because it's fucking scary.
Yeah, seriously, it really is. But yes, it's a great one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me. Yeah. Number 4 for me is Catcher and the Rye. And it's for us. It's number
ditto.
4 for us.
Ditto.
So, I mean, for me, I love anything, whether it's television, movies, and or books that is all about teenage angst and trying to find yourself, and especially when you're being fucking stupid and have to overcome that sometimes and you're not realizing it at the time. So I love trying to see people's like process of trying to, go through things.
Absolutely. And speaking of the process of getting that book written,
yeah,
and then the aftermath of the success of that book, if you guys want to know the story of J.D. Salinger and this book, The Catcher in the Rye, I highly, highly, highly recommend watching Rebel in the Rye with Nicholas Hoult. It was written and directed by Danny Strong, our buddy Danny Strong. It's a brilliant film, and look at how the character in The Catcher in the Rye was created by J.D. Salinger and what it was supposed to be and what it turned into. It's creepy. Amy Rutberg, another former guest, is in that one. It's a brilliant film. Check it out, and it only makes sense. And then you'll read this book.
Yeah.
If you've never read the book, you'll want to read the book after seeing the film. It's crazy.
It really is, man. It really is.
Number 3 for you.
Number 3 is, I'm switching this one up last minute. Switching it up to The Great Gatsby.
Shit, you just like...
I completely forgot about The Great Gatsby for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean...
And he's a Leo fan.
No, of course.
I mean, come on!
Of course, but I mean, this is one of those classic love stories where you never get what you want. I mean, you try to send signals like across the lake and shit, but you never get what you want. You try, and then the motherfucker's like husband shoots you dead. So, throwing all these extravagant parties, trying to do all these big gestures to try to get your loved one to come just to make an appearance, but it never happens. But then, of course, Leo, duh, like what the fuck? But, and the mysterious story behind Gatsby. I feel like that is something that everybody's always interested in, the mystery behind people and other things in general. So I feel like this book did really well at portraying all of that. So that's why number 3 for me is The Great Gatsby.
See, you had me thinking about the Rolling Stones too, and the passing of the drummer, and just like, man. But you can't always get what you want.
It's true.
You said it. It's true. My number 3 is the fictional novel that single-handedly spawned more lawyers than any other story in history, without doubt. No kidding. It's To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It's fucking brilliant, okay? It's about a black man wrongfully accused and defended by a white lawyer who's pretty much ostracized from the community for defending this black man. And it touches on so many things, again, that we're seeing in society today. The wrongful incarceration of so many people of color. The standard, they must have done it because they're black, kind of a thing. And then the ostracization of people who defend them and stand up for them. And it's eerie to think that this was written so long ago, and yet here we are in 2021 still dealing with these same issues.
Yeah.
It's pathetic, honestly, but it's a brilliant book. It's a brilliant film. And I mean, read the book, watch the film. It's honestly too one of the closest adaptations in film of a book I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's pretty much spot on. So if you haven't done it, read it. It's a good one and it's important.
Agreed, man. Agreed. And this is the second time I get to talk about this on today's show, which I'm very excited about, because the second on my fiction books is the whole Harry Potter series. I've actually only read the first 3 or 4, something like that. It's been forever ago, but it's basically the same thing. Come on now, J.K. Rowling was like involved in the whole process when it comes to the filmmaking side, so of course it's damn near the same thing. A little bit more tweaks here or there, but I mean it's such a fun, lovable stories, and you guys know I'm super big into like the witchcraft, medieval, all that good stuff that's kind of like put into one genre. So that's why I love Harry, and I'm just saying, I don't know. Sirius Black didn't do it, so don't hold it against him. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You have to watch it to know.
I know. Well, and I plan to. Because why? It's going to be on HBO Max again. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because, that's how it is. My number 2 is by one of the single greatest actresses of our generation. One of the single greatest underappreciated actresses of our generation. I'm talking about the lovely, the adorable Lauren Graham, who also, by the way, is a top writer, a best-selling author.
Facts.
Yes. And her first book, Someday Maybe, my number 2 on books of fiction, which is odd because it's a fictional book about fictional characters, but it's semi-autobiographical, almost kind of telling her life story. About a woman who moves to New York to become an actress, and it's not happening, and she's about to give up when she finally gets the break.
Yes.
And in real life, that would be Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
But anyway, it's phenomenal, and at one point was going to be made into a series. Ellen DeGeneres picked this up and was gonna be made into a series on the CW, and Mae Whitman was gonna star in the lead role. And Lauren Graham was gonna write the series, and it all kind of fell apart. And I'm asking why?
Right?
Somebody fucking pick that. It's Lauren Graham, Mae Whitman. What the fuck are you waiting for? Like, pick that shit up. And you pick up the book and read it because it's a fucking phenomenal read. She's fantastic. She's a brilliant writer. And please, somebody make that show. Please. Or just give us money and we'll make the fucking show.
Right?
We'll do it. Let's do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, number 1 for me goes to Lord of the Flies, because this is a social experiment without actually experimenting with shit. As you know, some of these kids, they get trapped on an island and they go completely fucking rogue. Like, they start their own tribes and people are killing people, like pushing people off cliffs. And these kids aren't even that old, I don't think. I don't remember the exact age of them, but I think they were like middle school age and shit. But like fighting for power and all this different stuff. So it's just very interesting to see when you take away humanity, basically, and you take away civilization. What do we become? We become animals, basically. So it's a very interesting storytelling of that whole process and how we all can just turn crazy at just like that.
I feel like, for anybody who's read Lord of the Flies, it's hard not to see that was a possible inspiration for the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it had to have played into for the creator process of the Hunger Games. It's so similar in nature as to what was going on, right? I mean, just making that distinction, I think. But it's a great book and deservedly number 1. My number 1 is actually a novel that wasn't finished, but was published posthumously after the death. I'm talking, of course, about F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Last Tycoon. Has hands down always been my favorite nonfiction book. Fiction book. And nonfiction. And let me explain why. Because it's long been rumored, and at some point I'm sure will be confirmed, that Monroe Starr, the character in this book, was based on MGM Golden Boy Irving Thalberg, the right-hand man to Louis B. Mayer. So fiction, but not fiction. You guys, I mean, it was a movie with Robert De Niro, a young Bobby De Niro, that did not work. And then our buddy Billy Ray made a series out of it, which worked fucking phenomenally with Matt Bomer and Lily Collins and Kelsey Grammer. And the powers that be at Amazon at the time thought it was too expensive and they canceled it. Well, now you've got more money than God, and you've got Jennifer Salke, who likes to spend more money than God. You're spending, $2 billion on fucking Lord of the Rings? It's time to bring it back. Yes. It's time to bring The Last Tycoon back. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's about this guy who's basically trying to hold on. He's one of the last great studio heads in the golden age of Hollywood, and when it's all kind of coming to an end, he's desperately trying to hold on to keep it alive. It's a brilliant fucking novel about the entertainment industry, and it's a beautiful show about the entertainment industry. And if you haven't read it, read it and then watch the series. It is still available on Amazon to watch. Bring it back.
Do it.
And so I wish it would be finished. I wish somebody. I mean, hard and impossible. This guy's dead, but it'd be awesome to see somebody's into which is why I wanted to see the continuation on Amazon. Wouldn't you like to see where Billy Ray would have finished this novel, right? Like I don't know.
It would have been badass.
It would have been badass.
Oh man. But what is your number one fiction book? We want to know. Be sure to drop a comment down in the YouTube section, podcast section, and
Did you just go all southern in the YouTube section?
In the YouTube section, in the podcast section,
you drop that comment in the YouTube section,
or on the social media platform. Like, come on now.
That's how you ring it. That's how you ring the bell, is you spit your tobacco.
We love it. We love it. We love the fan interaction, and we want more of it. Come on, let's go. Now heading over to the box office recap. I gotta say, with Free Guy not being on the streaming platform same day release and/or on a streaming platform at all, I feel like it has taken the least amount of droppage. Of course, it still dropped $10 million, but I feel like all of the other movies dropped significantly more percentage-wise when it comes to second weekend.
Yeah.
Number one was Free Guy with 18.8, and last weekend it made like 28.8 or something like that. So, like I said, percentage-wise, I think it's doing the best, and I mean that might be the answer behind the same-day release and theatrical release problem at the box office.
If I'm not mistaken, it's the first one to remain at number one the following week too, right? All the other big ones that opened at number one with totals dropped out of the first spot in the following week.
I think Black Widow was number one the second week, but not the third week. But I don't know.
No, didn't I thought Black Widow got bumped off the second week by now I can't remember what it was, but
Space Jam?
Yeah, because it fell to third, remember, and then rebounded the second place
then
the following week. This
might have been the first one, yeah.
Yeah, which more so proves your point about should it just be theatrically released? And this bodes really well for Scarlett Johansson.
It does.
Because the fact that he was able to hold the number one spot for more than a week, and he was only in theaters. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Shang-Chi does that, Disney might as well just cut the check to fucking Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
because Shang-Chi's only going to be in the theaters, and that opens next week. And if it holds number one for 2 weeks in a row, Scarlett's getting a big payday.
Agreed, man.
That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. Number two is Paw Patrol. The movie came in with $13 million. Number 3 was Jungle Cruise with $6.2 million. Number 4 was Don't Breathe 2 with $5 million. And number 5 was Respect with $3.8 million. Yes. Nobody showing Aretha some respect. So, I mean, that was a phenomenal movie.
Right?
Marlon Wayans, did such a good job in a dramatic role. I've never seen him in a dramatic role, and damn, it was really good. He was an asshole, but it was really good. The new movie's coming out this week. Candyman, which what I heard is pretty decent.
And which apparently will be number one next weekend because it's making a killing right now.
The Colony and Together. So you can see all of those at select theaters this weekend. But like we told you, next week we got Shang-Chi and apparently a new Mortal Kombat movie. So I'm wondering if that one's going to be animated or not. So I don't know. Movies you can still go see right now: The Suicide Squad, The Protege, The Night House, Reminiscence, and Black Widow.
I want to see The Protege. I think I'm gonna go check that out. That's the one with Michael Keaton, where he's like this badass assassin or whatever, and he's trying to take out. So I want to see it. I think it's gonna be pretty badass.
It's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting. Now the top trending. Now we're going over to the IMDb trending segment. You guys know we love it. We love it. We use it during the show to look up some actors. It's the best thing in Hollywood right now, so be sure to check it out. The top trending movie is Free Guy. By no surprise, everybody's loving this one, eating up all the Ryan Reynolds cake. It's just great, man. It's just great. Some great cameos. Alex Trebek, Chris Evans, all the good stuff. The top trending TV show is The White Lotus. Apparently, some guy has his dick in his hand, and I mean, it's is what it is.
We have that on some pretty good knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, inside sources.
Inside sources. Wait until next week when we talk about it with Matt Hamilton from Turner and Hooch. Oh, my goodness. And the top trending star, still, I believe she was the top trending star last week as well, Alexandria Daddario.
Yes.
So, and I believe she's from that.
Yeah, she's from White Lotus, and I remember her from Baywatch. because as J-Lo pointed out, I was born in 1904.
Facts.
And I'm immortal, and I just keep chopping people's heads off with my swords.
Literally.
I have Connors and Duncans, because I fucking chop both their heads off, motherfuckers.
What was the Titanic like?
I wasn't on the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. I'd still be swimming.
Yeah,
like because I can't die, so I'd be swimming forever. And, like, there's a,
It'd be cold water, and you like the cold, so you'd be fine.
But whose heads would I chop off? They all died. Like, that would be pointless. I mean, I got to be on land to chop heads off. That's just how that works.
All right. Anyway, thank you again to Melissa Bruning for coming on the show. Be sure to follow her on Instagram. She's amazing. Oh, my goodness. Be sure to follow the company on social media and the podcast. At Crazy Ant Media is the company, and at ITCAFpodcast is the podcast. You guys know you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at JLoFantastic and
Crazy Ant Guy 1970.
That's right, buddy. That's right.
And Peanut the Puppy.
And Peanut the Puppy, because, he made an appearance this week.
That's right. Follow Peanut the Puppy.
Yes. And subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. Apple, Anchor, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more.
Yes.
If you're watching this video on YouTube, hello. Hola. We appreciate you. You're going to get a YouTube exclusive next week with Matt Hamilton. So be sure to be watching the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And subscribe and all that good stuff. Like this video, ring the bell, all of it. We love it. We love it. Ding! Like, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. Oh boy, oh boy. I think, honestly, I'm really excited about this 50th.
We both just got gas at the same time. That was a little creepy. We were both just belched at the same.
I'm really excited about this 50th anniversary thing because I do want to see how they all interact together.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I am so freaking pumped about that. You know, it would be epic if just like Oprah would show up there,
right?
Wouldn't it? Like that would be fucking fantastic. She's a huge Bob fan. Iger.
Yeah.
Just to clarify that. Yeah, I was super pumped about that. I'm also super pumped about Armageddon, the fucking big Flash event with Cat coming back and all the baddies coming in. Just like I'm super excited about that. And of course, fucking Manifest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super exciting.
Yeah, and I mean the Spider-Man trailer. Oh my goodness, so many possibilities, guys. They hinted at so much stuff just in the trailer. Like, it's so damn good. And I saw a meme that was like Doc Ock when he saw the first Aunt May, and then when he saw the third Aunt May, and he was like, I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. And I love the idea that, like, part of the big, fiasco of the multiverse is Peter's fault.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want everybody to forget who he was. He's like, no, fuck that. Me and Mary Jane are good. She needs to remember. And if you haven't watched the trailer, it's kind of the reason the spell gets fucked up. Yeah. So, like, I love that.
Exactly. It's always over a girl.
It's always over a girl.
Every single time. But it's always a good show when we get to talk about the one, the only Oprah!